Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mensch. Today, I'm going to do a video about Qtile, how to install it and how to configure it. And Qtile is not available in the Debian distributions, but it is available in Arch Linux and its derivatives. So if you didn't use my GitLab files to do your installation, you might want to use Qtile and you might want to learn how to configure it. So today I'm going to show you. So let's get to it. So right now I'm in a virtual machine of Arch Linux in the awesome window manager. So recently I did 2 videos on how to download, install, and configure awesome window manager and how to use it. And my Qtile video that I did is 3 months old, so I figured it's time to update it. So if you installed Arch Linux using my GitLab repository files, Qtile will already be installed in your system and it will be configured according to my configuration files and the way I like it. But if you installed Arch Linux or Manjaro or any of the Arch Linux derivatives your own way without using my files, then I'm going to show you how to install Qtile, how to use it, and how to configure it. So this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm in Arch Linux. I'm in a virtual machine, and right now I'm in the awesome window manager. So I am going to go into a terminal. So of course let's use the mouse. Let's go into Xterm. I'm going to make it a little larger. And I'm going to type in sudo pacman s Qtile. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to be for my password. Put my password in. And these are the files it's downloading. I'm going to say yes. And there we are, they downloaded. So now I'm going to close out of there. And I'm going to log out. Let's quit. Let's go to the hamburger menu. And let's click on Qtile. Now you don't want to click on Qtile Wayland unless you have Wayland installed in your system. And I've never installed Wayland. I've never used it, so I don't really know anything about it, except that it's new. And some people love it and some people hate it. And some people think it's not ready yet for public use. And some people think it is. So I have no opinion on it, except for that I never used it. And the only reason why I'm mentioning it is that if you're running a basic install of Arch Linux and you did not install Wayland, then if you click this on, you're going to get jammed up and you might have to reboot your computer. So I kind of wish it wasn't there, but it is. So make sure you click on the right Qtile. Let's make sure we did. Yes, we did. We clicked on the right one. And I'm going to put my password in. And this is the default Qtile. Now the resolution is off because this is a virtual machine. So if you install Qtile in bare metal, you don't have to worry about this. But if you install it in the virtual machine, you're probably going to have to do this. So in Qtile, like I said, this is the default Qtile. In Qtile, if you hit the mod key and the enter button, it opens up a terminal, just like it does in Awesome Window Manager. Now, Awesome Window Manager has a built-in menu with the mouse. You can use your mouse to use the menu. And in those videos, I showed you how to add things into the menu, add other apps and applications into the menu, and how to use it. And I also showed you how to make keybindings. But Qtile doesn't have any menu at all. And the mouse doesn't work. You can use the mouse to do a few things. You can use the mouse to change workspaces. And you can use the mouse to close programs that are mouse driven. But there's very little things you can do with the mouse. You can use the mouse to shut down here. You can click on that and it's going to give you a 5-second countdown to shut down. Now it's not going to shut the computer, but it's going to log you out of Qtile. Let's go back in. So the first thing, because this is a virtual machine, I'm going to open the terminal and I'm going to type in xrandr s 1920 by 1080. And I'm going to close. Now, like I said, there's no way to close this terminal with the mouse. If you're running GNOME terminal, there will be, but not with Xterm. And the way to close something in the default Qtile is mod key W. There, I just closed it. So in my awesome video, I showed you how to go deeper and deeper into folders within folders within folders to get the default awesome configuration file, and how to copy it into your home directory, and then how you can configure it and make changes to it. With Qtile, you don't have to do that. The first time you log into Qtile, it's going to copy the default configuration into your home directory so that you don't have to do that. And then you can go in there and make changes. So because this is a virtual machine, if you downloaded Qtile, the default configuration into bare metal, it's not going to look so small. It will be small, but not so small. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a terminal, and that's mod key enter. And I'm going to go into .config. And if you do an ls, you can see here, there's a Qtile folder. So I'm going to go into cd into Qtile, and I'm going to ls it. And this is the file you want to go into. Because it automatically threw the default configuration file into your home folder, then you're free to play with it and make changes to it. So I'm going to use Vim, because that's my favorite text editor. And I'm going to go into it. And let's just go to the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the font. So I'm just going to do a search for it in my Vim. Hit enter. And this is the font. And I'm only doing this right now because this is a virtual machine. Delete the 1. Let's put 20 in. Let's write it. Control mod key R refreshes the screen, and there you go. So let's close the terminal. Now, in Awesome Window Manager, control to close a program, you can use your mouse. Here you can't. And in Awesome, closing a program with the keyboard is Shift Mod C. Here in Qtile, the default to close a window is Mod W. So Mod W closes it. So you can see your workspaces here. It's kind of dark. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's 9 workspaces like there is in Awesome. And of course, if you click on this, it's going to shut down. It won't shut down the computer, but it's going to log you out of Qtile. And you got your date. And to spawn a program, so let's say I want to open up Firefox. There's no keyboard setting in here for Firefox. But if you use my Qtile configuration file from my GitLab repository, there is a key binding. And if you're using my file, mod key F will open up Firefox. But in default, there isn't any. But there is a launcher. So it's telling you right here, press mod key R. The M stands for mod key. Press mod key R to spawn. But you're going to have to know the name. And if you don't know the proper name to open a program, then you won't be able to open it. So let's press mod key R. And see here it comes up to spawn. So we're going to spawn Firefox. Let's type in Firefox. Hit enter. And there's Firefox. Now, because Firefox is mouse driven, I can use my mouse in it. I can click on Arch Linux. Let's just make that larger. Oops. Close that. And then I can just go to File here and quit. Let's open it up again. So it's Mod R. Click on, type in Firefox, hit enter. So like I said, you can close it that way, quit, or you can do Mod key W will close it. Mod key W closes it. So this is the default Qtile. Now, if you want to use my configuration files, if you did an Arch Linux installation using all my applications and my files and configuration files in my GitLab repository, then you should have mine installed. But let's go here. So let's go into, and I'm going to make this one step larger. So if you didn't download my GitLab repository, you're going to want to type in. Now, if you don't have Git installed, you're going to want to install Git. So you're going to want to do sudo pacman s git, hit enter, and install it. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to do that. And if you don't have my repository, you're going to want to do this. Git clone gitlab.com/artibus1 slash mench.git. Hit enter and download my mench directory from my GitLab repository. Anyways, I'm not going to do that because it's already there. Now, before I go on, I just want to go back to the default configuration file. So we're going to do config Qtile, list of files, and I'm going to do vim config. Let's go in there. So this is the default configuration file, and you can scan down. There's, like I said, this is where you change the font size. You can even change the type of font you want. And you can make, here's the clock. This is the way the clock is, the format for the clock. Now in my configuration file, I changed all these. If you're using my configuration file for Qtile, I changed all these so the clock looks different. And like I said, this is the default. So what I'm gonna do is get out of there. Let's quit. Get out of this. You're only going to do this if you haven't run my apps when you did your installation. And let's go into the mench directory. Okay, now we're in the mench directory. Let's clear the screen and list the files. If you did the installation from my files and you installed all these apps in Auto App and you installed all these files, if you ran this executable file, run configs, then of course you don't have to do all this stuff. But if you did your own Arch installation or a derivative of Arch and you didn't use any of my files, then what you want to do is go into the mench directory, download it from my GitLab repository, go into it, and go into this Qtile one here. So let's cd into it, Qtile, list of files. And you want to copy this auto start file and this configuration file into your home directory. what you're going to do is you're going to do copy auto, and you're going to copy config to squiggly. You're going to leave a space, squiggly line, slash, and of course you can do this in the file manager as well. Squiggly line slash dot config slash Qtile. And you're going to hit enter. Then you're going to cd out of Mensch, and you're going to go back to your home directory. You're going to cd into config Qtile. And I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to ls it. And I'm going to go into, well, let's close the screen. So you're going to do mod key W, and you're going to do control mod key refresh, or control mod key R to refresh Qtile or restart Qtile. And there you have it. You have my configuration file installed. If you didn't have this wallpaper in your home directory, your screen will probably be black. But if you downloaded my files, you could go into here. Let's make that larger again. Oops. You could go into cd into Mensch, ls it, and I have 3 wallpapers here in my Mensch directory. I have city JPEG, dark cyan JPEG, and I have arch simply black PNG. And that is the wallpaper that's showing up right now. That is this wallpaper. So you could copy these 3 wallpapers into your home directory. And if you copy this one into your home directory and restart, then you're going to have this wallpaper up. Now, this is kind of small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to make it a little larger again. What I'm going to do is, if you're using my Zesh configuration file, you can just type in Qtile config. And it's going to take you there. Oh, and that's kind of big, eh? Let's make that small. Okay. But if you're not using my Zesh configuration file, then you could just do .config Qtile, list the files, type in config, vim config. There you are. And then I'm going to do a search for font. I'm going to make that a 2. And then only have to make it so large because of this virtual machine. Let's close that. There. So you can see we have wallpaper. Everything is nice and large. I changed the format. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to make some changes. So for instance, I want to have the year here in the date. Now, as you notice, the date's different than it was in the default. And I also got rid of all that other stuff that was at the bottom. And also what I did was I changed the key binding for closing windows. So in the default, to close a window, it's mod key W. But I changed the key binding to be the same as my Awesome Window Manager. So in Awesome Window Manager, to close an application, it's Shift Mod C, and I made it the same here. And I also added in a key binding for Firefox. So to open Firefox, it's Mod F. And there's Firefox. Now you can still close Firefox this way with the mouse. Let's open Firefox again, it's Mod F. Now to close Firefox, the key binding is the same as it is in my awesome configuration file. So it'd be Shift Mod C. And that closes it. Now I want to put the year in that time and date. So I'm going to open a terminal, which is mod key enter. I'm just going to make it a step larger. And I'm going to type in Qtile. If you're using my Zesh, you could do Qtile config and it's going to open it. Now that's too big. Let's make it small. And I'm going to do a search for the clock. And you got to do it with a capital in this one. And there's the clock format. Now this is not the default clock format. This is my personal clock format. But I want to add the year in there. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to leave a space. And I'm going to do a %sign and a capital Y. I'm going to save the file. And Control Mod R to refresh it. Now we have the year in there. See? It's Sunday, April 9th, 2023. There's the time, and I even have the seconds and the time. And like I said, I got rid of all that other stuff. So that's how you do that. Now, where's the wallpaper? So in Qtile, there's two ways to have wallpaper like there is in Awesome Window Manager. So in the video I did the other day in Awesome Window Manager Part 2, I showed how you could just use the Awesome Window Manager to install a wallpaper in the terminal without having to use a third-party application. And then I also showed how you could use a third-party application called Nitrogen. You could download Nitrogen and use it like you would in any other regular desktop environment. And if you're doing it that way, you don't have to use Nitrogen. You could use any wallpaper application that's available in the Arch Linux repository, and there's several of them. But Nitrogen is the only one that I've used in the past and have experience with. So that's the one I showed. So it's the same thing in Qtile. You can download Nitrogen and then use Nitrogen in Qtile to set your wallpapers. Or if you don't want to use a third-party application, you could just go in the terminal and put your wallpaper into the configuration file. Now, the advantage of doing it that way, the advantage of putting the wallpaper in your configuration file is that you don't have to download a third-party application. You're going to end up using less RAM because you don't have another application running in the background. The disadvantage of doing it that way, it's a little bit of a hassle. So I'm the kind of person where I can use the same wallpaper for 6 months or a year. And if you're like that, you could just do it this way. Go into the configuration file, put your wallpaper in, and then a year later, go in and change it again. But if you're the kind of person that likes to use different wallpaper every day and you're always changing your wallpapers, and you have a lot of wallpapers and you're always changing them, then it's probably better to use another application like Nitrogen or some of the other ones that are available. So first, I'm going to show you how to install a wallpaper in the terminal without using another application. So we're already in the configuration file. So I'm just going to click on this, type in wallpaper. Now, if you're using my configuration file, this will be here. All these things will be there. If you're using the default, and if for some reason you don't want to use my configuration file, and you just want to use the default configuration file and make changes to it yourself, then to set wallpaper in there, you're going to have to type this stuff in. You have to type this stuff in. And of course, this is just a title explaining what it is. And in Qtile, anything that has the hashtag there means the line is deactivated, or it's just a title telling you what's going on below. In Awesome Window Manager, it's 2 lines. To deactivate a line, it's 2 dashes. But in Qtile, like in many other applications, it's the hashtag or the number sign. So this is just a title saying it's wallpaper. This is the actual command. It's saying wallpaper equals, and you leave a space, and you have to direct it to the wallpaper. And if your wallpaper is in a wallpapers directory, then you're going to have that after the dash. You're going to have wallpapers. And if it's a directory, you will need to have the directory spelled correctly. So if it has a capital, put a capital in. If it's wallpaper, put wallpaper in. If it's wallpapers, as in plural, put the plural in. Wherever your wallpapers are, or the wallpaper that you want to use, you're going to have it written properly, and you're going to have to, and you will need to have the name of the wallpaper written properly as well. Then, of course, this is just another title set to fill our stretch. And I put stretch in there. This is stretch. So if you're using my configuration file, you can just go in there and type in the wallpaper that you want to use. If you're using a default configuration file and you want to add wallpaper in there, type in all this stuff. So let's change the wallpaper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window. And I'm going to list my files. Oops. Let's do ls. Let's clear the screen. Let's do ls. So I'm going to list the files. And this is the wallpaper that's installed right now. So I'm going to put dark cyan in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. Type in dark cyan period PNG. And I'm going to save the file. And I'm going to go to another workspace. So you can hold the mod key down and press the workspace. So let's do 6. I'm going to go to workspace 6. And I'm going to refresh it. Control Mod R. And there we are. We have the other wallpaper up now. And that wallpaper is going to stay there even when I log out. So for instance, let's just close all these windows. Control Mod C. Let's get out of there. Let's save that. Let's get out. Control Mod C. Let's quit. Control Mod Q is for quit. And I made quitting the same as it is in Awesome. So in Awesome Window Manager, you could use your mouse to quit, or you could do Shift Mod Q. So I made it the same way here. It's Shift Mod Q quits. Let's log back in. Put my password in, and there we have it. We have the nice large font at the bottom. We have our workspaces here. We have this wallpaper set. So that's how you set a wallpaper without using a third-party application. Now, like I said, I have key bindings here. So Mod key F opens Firefox. Shift Mod C closes it. Control Mod P opens my file manager, PCManFM. And you can close it here. Close window. Or Control Mod P opens it, and you could do Shift Mod C and close it. So now I'm going to go into the configuration file. So let's open up the terminal. It's mod, enter. And I'm going to open up. Let's go to configure Qtile. ls it. Vim config hi. Let's just go to where Firefox is. So these are all the key bindings I made. So this one in blue that has the hashtag or the number sign there, that's deactivated. And these are all my key bindings. So for instance, if you have Brave Browser installed, and if you use my automated installation, Brave Browser won't be installed. It's only going to be installed if you did it yourself. And in Arch Linux, you have to install Brave Browser from the AUR, the Arch User Repository. But if you do have Brave Browser installed, Mod key B will open it. Firefox is Mod key F. if you have the Tor browser launcher installed. Now, Tor browser won't be installed if you used all my configuration files, but if you happen to install it yourself, Control T will open up the Tor browser. If you installed VirtualBox, Mod key V will open up VirtualBox. If you installed Virt Manager, Mod key Control V will open up Virt Manager. Mod key H will open up Htop. If you see line 4, let's do it up here. Line 96, Mod key H will open up Htop. Mod key C will open up the GNOME calculator. Mod key Control P opens up PCman FM. And you can read these yourself. So mod key O will open up LibreOffice. Let's try it. Let's do mod key. Let's go to another workspace, mod key 5. Let's do mod key O. And there's LibreOffice. You have the writer document. You close that. You have calculator or your spreadsheet. There's that there. Let's close it. You could do File, Exit LibreOffice. You could go use your mouse to change workspaces. So let's go back there. So you have here in line 112, mod key R opens up Rhythmbox. And those are my key bindings. And if you want to add a key binding, just follow the formula. The line and just follow this formula. Now, if you're using a default configuration file and you want to add your own key bindings, just put these in the way they are. So that's how it works. Let's quit out of there. Let's close the screen. Now, let's say you don't want to do it that way and you want to use nitrogen. So let's open up. Let's make it one larger. Let's do sudo pacman s nitrogen. Put your password in, install nitrogen, and there it's installed. Shift mod key C, close the screen. Now, another thing I forgot to tell you is that that launcher that was down in the default file, there was a launcher here. And in the default file, it was mod key R, and then you could type in Firefox or type in the one that you wanted to call up. Well, I changed that. So it's not mod key R anymore. Now it's still there. That launcher is still there, but it's not mod key R. It's mod key P. And the reason why I made it mod key P is that in Awesome Window Manager, they had a built-in launcher on the top. And if you hit mod key P, it brought up the launcher and you could type in the program you wanted and it would bring it up. So I changed it. So in Qtile, in the default configuration file, it's down at the bottom and you click on mod key R and it brings up a little launcher and you can type it in Firefox. So it's still here when you're using my configuration file, but I changed it. So instead of being mod key R, it's mod key P. And I did that to make it the same as it is in Awesome Window Manager. So you hold your mod key down and hit the P. And see, it brings up this spawn. And let's type in Firefox. Hit enter. And there it is. It's Firefox. So you can call up a program that way too. Mod key P. Let's call up our volume control. POV, I think it's POV. POV view control. Hit enter. And there's our volume control. So that's another change I made. So now we downloaded and installed nitrogen. I don't have a key binding for it. So let's open it up. Let's do mod key P. Let's type in nitrogen. And it brought it up. Let's hit preferences. I did that wrong. Make sure this recurses off. Let's do add. Let's do mensch. Select. Make sure it's off. Okay. And there's the 3 wallpapers. So now I'm going to change the wallpaper. I'm going to put it to this and apply. And close the screen, Shift Mod C, and see the wallpaper is set. So that's how you'd use Nitrogen to set the wallpaper. Now, there's another thing I want to show you. So let's go to this. So we're going to CD into my config. .config Qtile. A list of files. Now we have this auto start file. So I'm going to open it up and show you what's in it. Vim auto. So this is what's in it. I have xrender set 1920 by 1080. And you only have to put that in if you're doing this in a virtual machine. If you installed Qtile in bare metal, you won't need that. And I have IMWheel set to go on. Numlock set to go on. My Power Manager set to turn on. So every time I log into Qtile, all these things are set to turn on. So if you have another application that you want it to be turned on automatically when you log into Qtile, you're going to have to put it in here. Just like this. Just insert it in. The last one doesn't need the N sign there, the last item, but if you're going to put another item down there, then you're going to have to add the and sign at the end of Power Manager. Space and then the and sign. Now you see I have nitrogen in there, but it's deactivated. So what this nitrogen means is that, first of all, I'm going to activate it. Now, I want to show you what happens if I don't activate it. Let's get out of here. Let's close this. Let's quit. So to quit would be Shift Mod Q. Let's log back in. And now it's showing the wallpaper that I installed in the configuration file. I didn't install this wallpaper through Nitrogen. I installed it in the configuration file. And if you go into the configuration file, this is the wallpaper that's set. So let's go into the configuration file. Qtile, .config Qtile. Let's list the files. Let's go into config vim config. Let's just do wallpaper. Slash wallpaper. Let's deactivate these wallpapers. So I'm going to put a sign in there. I'm going to put the hashtag in there as well. So now all this wallpaper and stretching the wallpaper is deactivated. I'm going to save the file. Close this. Control Mod key R refreshes the screen. Let's log out. Let's log back in. And now the screen is black. Now when you first install Qtile, the screen is black. Now the screen is black because we deactivated the wallpaper in the configuration file. But you might be wondering, but we installed Nitrogen. How come Nitrogen's not working? Well, I have to activate Nitrogen to start when we log into Qtile. So the first thing I want to do is mod key P Nitrogen. Let's call it up and let's put this wallpaper in. Let's apply it. Let's close the screen and there it is. Now let's open up a terminal, make it one larger again. Let's go into .config Qtile. List of files. Let's log into auto start. Vim auto. And I'm going to activate this line here. So this line is saying that Nitrogen is going to start and it's going to restore the previous wallpaper that we had up. That's what that restore means. So whenever we log into Qtile, it is going to start Nitrogen and it's going to restore or set up the previous wallpaper that was up there when you logged out. So let's go to the beginning of the line. Let's delete the hashtag. Now it change color and it's activated. Let's save the file. Close the screen. Control Mod Q quits you out of there. Let's log back in. Put my password in. And there it is. So now we're using nitrogen. Now, let's say you want to make a fast key for nitrogen. So let's open up. Now, if you're using my Zesh file, you can get into the configuration file by just typing in Qtile config. And that's going to take you in there. Now, let's go to the key bindings. Let's just type in Firefox. And the only thing is you have to make sure you're not using a command that you don't already have installed. So for instance, if you have the mod key N opening up something, then you could just make the mod key control N to open up something. So for instance, line 102. Line 102 has mod key C opening up GNOME calculator. Let's say you want mod key C to open up something else, but you want to keep the GNOME calculator there. Then you could do it this way. Line 104. So line 104 has mod key control P opening PC man FM. So as I've showed you throughout this video, mod key P opens up a launcher, right? So if we go to another workspace, mod key P opens up spawn. I could type in nitrogen. And that opens up nitrogen. Let's close it. So let's go back to workspace 1. So you don't want mod key P to open up PCManFM, which is my file manager, because mod key P opens up the launcher to spawn a program. So I put it in as mod key control P opens up PCManFM, right? Control mod P opens up PCManFM, my file manager. Control mod C closes it. So let's go back to workspace 1. So we're going to put an N in there. We're going to put a mod key N to open up nitrogen. And it's going to look like line 102. Only in here, it's going to say nitrogen. And it's going to be N in here. Now, if that doesn't work, and if it conflicts, then we're going to make the line look like this one. We're going to make the line look like 104. It's going to be mod control N nitrogen. So let's just see what happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to go here and just leave a space so it looks nicer. So we're going to try doing it this way first, because I don't know if mod key N does something else within the system. So I'm going to clear that. I'm going to put an N in there. And I'm going to delete GNOME calculator. And I'm going to type in nitrogen. So I don't know if there's a naturally built-in command in there for mod key N that does something, or if even I put the mod key N for something else. So we're going to see. If there's something else in there, then it's going to conflict and it won't work. And if it does, then we're going to change it to mod key control N nitrogen. Okay, so let's save this file. Oops, let's delete that. Let's save the file. Let's go to workspace 5. Control R. Now the same thing with Qtile as it is in Awesome. When you make a change in a configuration file, you have to refresh the system. So Control Mod R. Now let's see if it works. So let's go to workspace 7. I'm in workspace 7. I'm going to hold down the mod key in the end, and it opens up nitrogen. There you have it. So now nitrogen is open. Shift mod key C closes it. So that's how you add a key binding. So let's open up mod key N. Let's click on this one. Let's apply it. Let's close the window. Let's go back to workspace and get out of our configuration file. Let's close this. Let's quit. Let's log back in. And there you have it. That's how you use nitrogen. And if you want to stop using nitrogen, you could open your window, go to config, Qtile, type in ls, vim auto start, hashtag this nitrogen to deactivate it. So now I've deactivated nitrogen from starting when I log into Qtile. Let's save it. Let's list the files again. Let's log into config. Vim config. Go to where your wallpapers are and reactivate this line. Go down and reactivate this line to stretch it. Put the whatever wallpaper you want in there and it's going to be there. Let's quit out. Let's close it. Let's quit. Let's log back in. There we have it. Now, another thing is I want to show is the tiling, because this is a tiling window manager. So let's open up a terminal. Let's open up Firefox. Let's open up, we don't need to do that. Let's open up my file manager, PCManFM. And let's open up another terminal. So see how it works. So we can go, let's just open up a bunch of terminals. See how it works? Now let's close those terminals and let's open up Firefox. Now, if I hold down the Control key and the Mod key and press L, I can do this. If I press H, I can do that. I'm holding down the Control and the Mod key. Let's open up my file manager again. Control, Mod key, P. There you go. Let's close that. Now, let's say I have two windows open here, but I want to make one window full screen, but I don't want to go to another workspace, and I don't want to close the one window. Well, you could just hit this. Click on that one. Click on Columns. Turn it to max. Now we're at max. See, now you can turn it back to column, or you could click on the Firefox one and change that to max. And there you have it. So let's just close that. Mod key C is my calculator. There's my calculator. That's the GNOME calculator. Now I'm going to hit the mod key and the H. That's going to bring up Htop. So we can see here, I gave it, this virtual machine, I gave it 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM, and it's running on 285 megs. That's not bad. So a lot of people ask why use a window manager rather than a full desktop. And there's several reasons. Number one, a window manager uses a lot less resources. Like this window manager is only using 285 megs of RAM. That's nothing. So window manager uses less resources. And these window managers, like Awesome and Qtile and some of the other ones that are available, they're very configurable. You can go into the configuration files, change it, and build it, and make it your own. With a lot of the desktop environments, some of them you can tweak, some more, some less, like the GNOME desktop environment, you can hardly do anything to it. The Cinnamon desktop, you can tweak it a lot. With the window managers, you can build your own system and make it your own. So that's another reason why people like the window managers. And another reason why people like it is the tiling. They like it for the tiling, so that they can have more than one workspace. So that they can have, first of all, they can have several workspaces where they have all their apps open. And on the same workspace, you can have tiling. So you can have 2 things open or 3 things open and you can be working. So people ask, why use a window manager? Those are the reasons why. I'm going to close that. And that's Qtile. In this video, I showed you how to use Qtile from default to making your own changes and to using my configuration file. I hope you learned something and enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I am the Linux Mensch.